Desde Las Vegas, en la convención anual de la NAB, National Association of Broadcasters, y desde su estudio 360 en vivo, tenemos el honor de presentar la premiación de los Product Awards Tecnología, un reconocimiento a los proyectos, las soluciones y las personalidades que hacen posible el avance tecnológico de la televisión y las telecomunicaciones. Nos acompañan líderes de nuestra industria, de nuestra comunidad, miembros del jurado, conformado por más de 40 especialistas y tecnólogos provenientes de Estados Unidos hasta la Argentina, representantes de las empresas participantes en las 5 categorías que hemos evaluado este año y ejecutivos en general. Esta es nuestra audiencia y la cantidad de personas que nos ven en vivo. Vamos a presentar las 5 personalidades que están aquí en el escenario y quienes develarán los ganadores. Aquí, primero tenemos a Alfredo Cabrera, vicepresidente de ventas para Latinoamérica de EBS. Luego tenemos a Alfredo Llanes, editor de Produ, nuestro editor tecnológico. Después tenemos a Francisco Aguayo, director de ventas para Latinoamérica de Aviwest. Ernesto Ecarri, director tecnológico también de Produ, periodista. Y luego Dino Muñoz, gracias a todos por venir. Dino Muñoz es vicepresidente senior de ventas para Latinoamérica y el Caribe de Harmonic. Vamos entonces a develar los ganadores. Por favor, el primer jurado, Alfredo Cabrera, adelante con el ganador de la primera categoría, contribución tecnológica a la televisión paga. ¿Quién ganó, Alfredo? Díganoslos.
El ganador es Verimatrix.
El ganador es Verimatrix por su solución VCIS Broadcast híbrido que da seguridad a los contenidos en la red. Ok. Y sube a recibir su premio Steve Ottenheim, presidente de Verimatrix, recibe el premio en manos de Alfredo Cabrera.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Steven. Vamos con el segundo ganador, por favor, Alfredo Llanes, editor de tecnología de Produ. Diga el segundo ganador de la categoría.
En la categoría contribución video IP, el ganador es Newtek por su solución NDI.
Adelante. Va a recibir el premio Filippo Ferlini, adelante, a recibir el premio en manos de Alfredo Llanes. ¿Quieres decir algo, Filippo?
No, nada, solamente muchísimas gracias. Me parece una iniciativa muy interesante, algo que puede cambiar un poco el interés que tenemos en América Latina para los productos y para la tecnología, con la cual tenemos que lidiar todos los días.
Bueno, muchas gracias, Filippo. Y estamos ahora con la tercera categoría. Vamos a develar ahora el tercer ganador y lo va a dar Francisco Aguayo en la tercera categoría, que es contribución tecnológica a
Broadcast. Bueno, el ganador es Sam, Snell Advanced Media.
Muy bien, la tercera categoría, contribución Broadcast, es Sam y sube a recibir el premio Rafael Castillo, vicepresidente de SAM para Latinoamérica. Ok. ¿Algunas palabras, Rafael?
No, muchísimas gracias y de nuevo es una gran iniciativa. Yo pienso que va a reforzar la industria, nuestra industria en América Latina, este tipo de acciones por tu parte, ¿no? Te felicito.
Gracias, Rafael. Muy amable. Adelante. Ok. Y bueno, vamos a hacer un paréntesis en las 2 categorías porque antes de develar, es para mí un honor presentar el premio honorífico Product Awards a 3 ingenieros que han dedicado toda su vida al desarrollo y evolución tecnológica de la televisión y que por su trayectoria, conocimiento y pasión por su oficio, hoy toda la industria a través de Produ le otorgan el premio honorífico. Quiero invitar a Carmen González Anfeliu, vicepresidenta regional para Latinoamérica y el Caribe de Intelsat, para que me acompañe a darle el galardón a estas celebridades de nuestra industria. Carmen, muchas gracias, la verdad, por estar con nosotros.
Gusto estar con ustedes, un honor.
Gracias. Y bueno, Carmen es una de las mujeres más admirables de la industria satelital por todo su aporte a la región, ayudando y sirviendo a nuestros teledifusores por más de 30 años.
Mucho tiempo, en realidad me siento muy afortunada de poder compartir con ustedes en este evento tan especial.
Bueno, vamos entonces a dar el primer premio honorífico, que es para el ingeniero chileno Luis Silva, baluarte de la industria. Su trabajo por más de 37 años ha ubicado a Chile como un país de vanguardia tecnológica. Su más reciente proyecto fue trasladar a Turner, Chile, a sus nuevas instalaciones, un moderno complejo de producción totalmente digital que fue posible gracias a la amplia experiencia y visión de Luis Silva. Luis.
Muchas gracias. Solamente agradecer este reconocimiento. Cuando partí en televisión, hace ya 37 años, aprendí que la televisión se hace en equipo. Y justamente este reconocimiento lo quiero dedicar a todos estos equipos que durante estos años me han acompañado. Muchas gracias.
Bueno, gracias, Luis. El segundo galardón con el premio honorífico es para el ingeniero venezolano americano Hugo Gaglioni, que es el Chairman Technical Officer de Sony Corporation de América, y es realmente un orgullo latino por su alta comprensión del fenómeno tecnológico. Igualmente, en más de 30 años de trabajo, ha hecho un gran aporte en la diseminación de sistemas profesionales que por primera vez utilizaban sistemas de compresión de video MPEG y que hoy permiten la distribución multiplataforma con alta resolución. Además, ha contribuido continuamente con el desarrollo tecnológico para capturar imágenes con alto rango dinámico en las cámaras Sony y sus usos de flujos de trabajos únicos para aplicaciones en video. Ese es Hugo Gaglioni, un orgullo, la verdad, Hugo, recibir y que estés aquí con nosotros. Adelante, dinos algo, Hugo.
Bueno, eso significa que estoy viejo, ¿no? Muchísimas gracias por este reconocimiento. Aprecio mucho que reconozcan esta labor y ojalá que podamos todos seguir hacia adelante con nuevos desarrollos técnicos. Gracias.
Bueno, gracias, Hugo. Y bueno, el tercer premio honorífico de este año es para el ingeniero mexicano Elías Rodríguez, uno de los más queridos de la industria. El premio lo recibe por su valioso aporte a las marcas fabricantes para un mejor desempeño y tropicalización de algunos equipos y por el liderazgo en la implementación técnica para cubrir en vivo grandes eventos y competencias mundiales para Televisa durante más de 25 años. Gracias, la verdad, Elías.
Pues para mí es un gran orgullo, de veras, y te felicito por esta iniciativa que tuviste de hacer este tipo de eventos. Y la verdad, como dices, por más de 37 años Televisa me ha permitido aplicar, porque nosotros estamos del otro lado donde debemos aplicar las mejores herramientas para este grandioso mundo de la producción y de los contenidos. Y la verdad quiero agradecer también a todos nuestros colegas y gente de la industria que me hizo favor esta distinción, y lo único que me resta es decirles, vamos por más proyectos, por más aplicaciones. La televisión solamente cambió en la manera de consumirla, pero tiene para mucho.
Bueno, muchas gracias, Elías Rodríguez, quien confirma que la televisión tiene para mucho el centro de nuestra industria. Y bien, continuemos con las dos categorías que faltan, que son los proyectos tecnológicos. Por favor, Ernesto Ecarri, editor tecnológico de Produ, adelante con el ganador en proyecto tecnológico satelital Telecom. Ernesto.
El ganador es Claro Ecuador Eutelsat.
Claro Ecuador Eutelsat. Y sube Javier Recio, vicepresidente de Eutelsat América. Gracias, Javier, la verdad, por estar con nosotros.
Gracias.
Adelante.
Gracias. Bueno, muchas gracias. En nombre de Claro Ecuador, Eutelsat y Accesat, quien ayudó a integrar este proyecto, muchísimas gracias por el reconocimiento.
Gracias. Javier Recio, Chairman Operating Officer de Eutelsat Américas en ese proyecto por las Islas Galápagos. Llevaron con Claro Ecuador Internet 4G LTE a las Islas Galápagos. Y bien, nos queda el último premio en la categoría Proyecto Tecnológico. Por favor, Dino Muñoz, diga quién ganó.
El ganador es América Televisión del Perú por el despliegue que de su centro de producción
América Televisión
el teleprompter saltó. América Televisión.
América Televisión por el gran proyecto que hicieron en Pachacamac, a 40 kilómetros de Lima, con 5 estudios, y recibe el premio el ingeniero técnico Marco Maesato. Marco, ¿qué nos puede adelantar? Perdón, Dino.
Muchas gracias. No, agradecer en nombre de nuestro gerente general, el señor Eric Jürgensen, nuestro presidente del directorio, el señor José Antonio Mirio Quesada, por esta distinción. Estamos muy orgullosos de trabajar en una empresa tan buena como es América Televisión, e invitarlos a todos ustedes a que conozcan nuestro nuevo centro de producción en Pachacamac.
Bueno, muchas gracias, Marco, muchas gracias, Dino, muchas gracias a todo el jurado. Y bueno, no me queda más decirle que gracias a todos los participantes, gracias a todos los ganadores, a la NAB por permitirnos esto, y a nuestro equipo Produ. Y bueno, y será hasta el año que viene. Ha finalizado el evento. Muchas gracias.
Ryan Saddles here with NAB Show Live. We have a very special guest right now, America Ferrera. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Trying to keep my voice here in Vegas. So congratulations. You just got the Television Chairman's Award at NAB Show today.
That's right.
So how does that feel?
It feels great. It's an incredible honor to be recognized by the Association of Broadcasters, and you know, to be honored specifically for the representation that the work I've been lucky enough to do has created in the industry.
All right, so you know, Ugly Betty, that was an awesome show. That's when I first learned of you. You've got to be proud of that. But now you're working on another show.
Yes.
And it's your baby.
Well, kind of well, kind of. It was my infant. It was someone else's baby. Justin Spitzer, who worked on The Office for 6 years, created this wonderful show, and it's about, you know, everyday people working at a Cloud9, you know, insert Walmart, Target, and in kind of big box store. And it's just about people from all walks of life, coexisting, and there's so much room for humor, but also for smart, poignant commentary. Not necessarily, you know, there's not necessarily a message so much as it is so many people's different perspectives on any given issue, and mining that for the humor.
And so I hear that you're really big on women's issues and Hispanic issues. I think that's really awesome.
Thank you.
And so you're very involved with the community.
I've been involved with a number of communities, and I'm really big on just like people. I'm big on people being represented and having a voice and feeling empowered, and I've done work with women people and with Latino people and all other kinds of people.
All right, excellent. All right, America Ferrera, the one, the only, right here in a hidden location at NAB Show. Well, back to the studio.
Hey, it's Chris Wagner. Welcome back to the Met 360 studio. I'm here with Newline, and I'm also here with Catherine Belamonte, who's the VP of Digital Media at Graham Media Group. And our topic is changing the television landscape. Catherine, you just got an award here, which I think is fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So what's changing out there? Maybe tell me a little bit about the changing TV landscape.
Well, I think that you're seeing a lot of broadcast groups like ours that are investing heavily in digital.
Right.
We're doubling down on digital. You know, we know that we have to be in this space in a big way and not just say we are. We have to really stand it up.
And you got some changing laws and governmental changes.
Yeah, well, that's a big deal. You know, that's going to probably lead to more consolidation, which we have a small broadcast group, but we think that that actually allows us to pivot and do things quickly and maybe when it's on the technology side, get ahead of some of the bigger groups. So we think that's one of our assets.
So your market, explain to the audience your market in terms of your broadcast market.
Sure. So we have stations in Detroit, Houston, Jacksonville, San Antonio, Orlando.
All good cities.
Miami, yeah. So yes, really good, big markets.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where you can actually test against a big audience.
Right.
We do all of our own in-house development, so all of our mobile has been done by my development team in Detroit.
Wow,
and,
that's great.
Yep, we're pretty proud.
How big a team is that?
So it's growing. We're over 20 now, and
awesome.
you know, it started only a couple years ago where there was 3 of us.
Right.
And so you know, I think that a lot of times when I'm talking to some of my peers, they're surprised at how big of a group we do have, considering our size. And we kind of use that as a badge of honor that we are small but mighty.
That should go on your business card.
Yep.
So what are some of the products and services you've done? The content, I guess, is news, local sports, entertainment.
Yep, all of the, you know, your regular broadcast, weather, sports, entertainment. But we also, we create niche products for our communities and try to, of course, answer some of the things that are going to allow us to monetize an audience that maybe we haven't been able to in the past. So we're pretty much open to anything.
And the monetization would be a sponsor or advertising?
Yeah, all of the above. And I think that the strength that we have is that we can take, you know, all of these screens and roll them up together for our advertisers and give them a really unique experience. And
How do you measure all that? Because that's the key, right?
Well,
to get them
you know, it's harder and harder, but I think that, you know, when you're looking at it from a digital side, measurement isn't as important when compared to when you look at a broadcast sense of the total audience. It's more of a one-to-one relationship. So we kind of come at it from that way.
Right.
Yeah.
And is the audience on digital primarily mobile or?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, there's a big, you know, I say that actually probably too quickly, but yes, mobile makes up the biggest portion of our audience, but we're really proud of the fact that we still have a good desktop audience too, because we reach a lot of at-work people.
Right.
And you know, it's a lot easier to actually monetize that audience, so we want to keep it where it's at.
Do you get an audience that also is not even in the local markets, but maybe used to live there? And
Of course.
Yeah,
it's
I would
really,
think so.
It's really interesting to see that. Even when we're looking at OTT now, you know, there's people who maybe live half the year in Florida and the rest of the year in Detroit, and they're going to be able to access us through OTT, and we see that audience finding us, which is really encouraging.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do and the content is both live and on-demand content?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're apps, or are they web browsers, or?
Apps. Yes, for the most part, for mobile, yes.
Okay.
And then we also, you know, we believe that we still have to support the mobile experience through the browser.
Sites.
Yes. Yeah. So
That's
we have
cool.
sites in all of our markets
And what are the challenges in doing all this? Just the amount of time in a day?
I would say, and this is probably not the most popular. Yes, time.
Right.
You can't accomplish all of it, but probably transforming a legacy media company is a really difficult thing to do. We've made a lot of money and continue to make a lot of good money, and it's hard to maybe change people's behaviors when then they had a really successful business that existed for a long time.
Right, and you obviously you see that changing audience, right? That's
Correct.
just more fixated on this than watching the 6 o'clock news.
Yep. Yeah, but you would be surprised even how hard people want to fight against that, even internally, knowing that you and I can't live without having our phone in our hand.
Yeah. Have you had any big events or spikes in some of the viewing out there that happened around an event that
sure.
digital kind of galvanized it?
Well, I think that, one of the big things that happened in one of our markets, or two of our markets this last year, was the hurricane that hit Florida coast. And you could, and actually, props to my to our president and CEO, Emily Barr, who said to the general managers at our TV stations, you do know what screen everyone's going to be watching you on. And she said, you better program towards that screen.
I was going to ask you that question. So how was that programming changed?
So, I think we could have done a better job than we did, frankly, but I do think that, looking at the fact that we knew that a lot of people were not going to have electricity, that alone, beside the fact that everyone goes to their mobile device, that was going to drive a ton of viewing. And so we were doing simple things like making sure that they weren't using lower thirds that are, driven by television when you're actually live streaming to the mobile device.
Right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
We had a similar experience with the NBA for their games because we do all their international distribution, and most of their traffic is actually on mobile. Mm-hmm. So they put a camera one on the court for the same reasons. It's tighter shots.
Right.
Because you're watching this way, you don't want the big, look down on the arena because it just doesn't look good on mobile.
Right.
But that's pretty smart.
Yep.
Yeah. And have you found new advertisers and sponsors on digital that weren't there for the broadcast side?
Sure. I think that that's really the exciting part about this is that it opens us up to have a solution for anyone in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. And, my background actually is in TV sales.
So you know that space.
Yes, I know that space well. But what I see as an opportunity for all of us is the fact that I can sit down in front of any client, any agency, and say, we have a solution for you on any platform or on any screen.
Do you sell that inventory across the different markets? Or and you can also localize it?
Yes, we also do audience extension products, so we can sell. One of the things that when I was a local account executive, I'd go to them and they'd say, I may be based in Detroit, but I don't care about reaching this market. I care about every other market in this country. Now we have the opportunity to actually even talk to those people where we haven't in the past.
And can you aggregate all those markets into bigger transactions?
Of course,
sales?
yes.
And how do you represent that to the advertiser? Is it like ComScore or is it Google Analytics or a combination of all that?
Right. Yeah, I think it's a combination of all of the above.
Yeah, measuring all that stuff has kind of always been a challenge.
Measurement is probably one of the biggest, as you know, issues that the industry has to figure out.
And what do you see going forward? What new things do you have on the horizon?
Well, we're spending a lot of time looking at our streaming and making sure that our video experience is the best.
High quality, no buffering,
and that the ad experience works as well as the actual viewing experience.
Right, stitched in the streams.
Correct. Yes, and doing it in a way where it's not painful for the audience.
People love ads.
Yes. Right.
But you're right about the stitching.
Yeah.
Because it creates more of a TV-like feel.
Right.
And you don't have kind of the webby feel of the pre-roll ad and the 30-second spot.
Yeah, and we already talked a little bit about OTT, but OTT is really something that I think is a huge opportunity because we know our audience is actually there.
Right.
And the most interesting thing that I think that broadcasters have found is that they want that same experience that they had in, just turning their television set on, whether it was using an antenna or cable.
It's got to feel like television.
Right. And so where I think that we all started off thinking it was this magical thing that was so different. People want, with those devices, if they want to watch their 6 o'clock news, they want it to work. Has.
Now, would you ever think of OTT around some content that you could offer under a subscription or a pay-per-view?
I think that all of the broadcast groups are really looking at that opportunity right now. I think first it's because now we have all these platforms that we have to fill the space.
Right.
You don't have, if you're an affiliate, you can't take that affiliate programming and put it on your new OTT app. So we're looking at, kind of going back to the old school way of doing television where we start creating all of our own content from our markets. And I think that that's a really exciting opportunity for all of us.
I think so too. And content creation is not that easy. It spends a lot of time.
No.
And quickly, what about social? How do you leverage some of the social channels?
So socials are really a big deal in our group. We actually have social news desk that is part of Graham Media Group. And they work, it's a technology tool for newsrooms.
But is it one person dedicated to it, more than one dedicated?
I think
it takes a lot of time.
Well, we do have dedicated people in the market, but I think that we also look at it just like everything else on digital. We all have to be responsible for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much. Congratulations
thank you
on
so
your
much.
award. Thanks for stopping by the Med 360 studio.
Thank you.
This is Chris Wagner. We'll be back for another episode here at Med 360. Stay tuned. Thank you. That was awesome. Hello there, it's Chris Wagner from New Line. We're back at the Met 360 studio here at NAB. It's been crazy fun. And I have my friend here from NHK, Kenichiro Ichikawa, who is here to join our show
Nice
at
to meet
Met
you, Chris.
360. Very
Yeah.
nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you too.
And you've been speaking here at NAB about a very exciting topic.
Yeah. I have talked about a signal converter for simultaneous production for UHD TV and HD TV.
So that's the ability to simultaneously produce a signal that can be delivered in 8K, 4K, and HD.
Yes, that's right.
That sounds hard.
Yeah. Next year we are going to start SHB broadcasting in Japan, and so we have to make much more content. So it's very important to produce the 8K, 4K, and HD at the same time, because HD TV broadcasting is the main service in Japan for us. Yeah.
So to view 8K, what type of television and equipment do you need in the home?
Yeah. In present now, we don't provide commercial receivers, only special receivers now. But in next year, we are going to collaborate with Japanese manufacturers, and they will produce the receivers, TV sets.
Okay. So most of the homes now have receivers that can handle, obviously, HD.
Yeah.
But also 4K, right?
Also 4K, also 4K and 8K.
And the type of content that NHK will make in 8K, 4K, and HD sports?
Of course, including sports. We are trying to produce, for example, baseball game and sumo. Do you know the sumo?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We're trying to the sports live production.
Sumo in 8K has to look fantastic.
Yeah, very fantastic.
Because you can see the wide body.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. And baseball, not Major League Baseball.
Not major. We are trying to produce not a professional high school baseball game. We produced last month on March. We produced simul production. HDR and SDR using our equipment.
Wow. And how do you handle graphics?
Yeah, so it's very difficult question, and we are trying to what is the best level of luminance, and so we are trying to produce, and we will define the best level for the HDR production.
Okay. And at NHK, do you also produce content for these kind of devices?
Yeah, of course. We also produce content for smartphone, and
And the business model for the viewer on the smartphone, do they pay for that?
It's a very difficult question, and we are public broadcaster, so now we do not.
It's free, right?
Yeah, it's not free. Okay. Not free. We have to. The people in Japan who has receivers have to pay the subscription fee.
I see.
But for the smartphone users, we do not. Little difficult question. For mobile users, we also charge the subscription fee.
Okay, understood. That's fantastic. So what are some of the big events that you've done in 8K, 4K?
4K.
Olympics?
Yeah, Olympics, of course. Next year, Pyeongchang Olympics, it will be held, and so for the Olympics, we are preparing for 8K broadcasting. So you can, if you can come to Japan, you can see the Pyeongchang Olympics.
Yes.
But not so many places, but in, for example, NHK headquarters and the local station of NHK.
Wow, I would love to see that. That's got to look fantastic. And how about on the production side with cameras? Do you work with a particular group on the camera side?
Yeah, we are now developing the latest 8K camera with some other manufacturers of camera.
Okay.
And this year we can prepare the new camera system.
Okay. And does that also require changes in all of your switchers?
Yeah,
I would imagine as well.
Yeah, it's also important. Switchers is a very difficult issues for us because we have there is two signal of 8K. One is dual green system, and the other is 422 based signal. So we are now transitioning from dual green to 422. So there is not there is not so many 422 switchers.
Right.
So we have to collaborate with many manufacturers to develop the 422 switchers for 8K.
I see. Okay. And could I also ask you, if we continue on this workflow, how about digital encoding?
Yeah, digital encoding for broadcast?
For broadcast that you would put out to this kind of device?
Yeah. In Japan, we are going to start simultaneous streaming service, but not so clear. But we are thinking to provide a streaming service.
I see.
At the same time with broadcasting.
So at the simultaneous.
Yeah, simultaneous. Yes.
Okay, that sounds exciting. And will you be doing any of this work outside of Japan or just in Japan? I mean, there are many Japanese people all around the world.
Yeah. VNHK broadcast international broadcasting for the Japanese, not only Japanese but also foreigners living out foreign countries, and also we provide a streaming service for them using application. So you can download the application and you can watch our NHK international broadcasting.
I see. And for the upcoming Olympics in Japan,
yes,
will you be providing any of the video production to other broadcasters around the world? Like if I'm in the United States, NBC is the official broadcaster for the Olympics.
We have to collaborate with many other broadcasters. Yeah, OBS and also NBC. Yeah.
OBS as the kind of the home broadcaster. I see. That's going to be exciting. And how many locations in Japan will the Olympics be hosted in? Are they pretty spread out?
I don't know a certain number of the hosts. Yeah,
I see. But that you have to be able to be in all those different places.
Yeah. So we have to.
In order to do that.
We have to assign our staffs to each areas.
Any idea on the number of people that it takes to do the Olympics?
Yeah, many people have to. Engage in the
thousands, right?
Yeah, more than thousand.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Most of Japan NHK employees have to engage to that.
What are you finding here at NAB that's interesting?
Yeah, NHK. NHK. Do you know the NHK booth in North Hall? And we provide a 8K theater and a 8K living room. And so.
Oh, I would love to come see that.
Yeah, please come visit our booth and so enjoy the latest technology of 8K.
I will do that. Well, thank you for coming on the show. It was very nice to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Good luck with the Olympics. That's another segment here. It's Chris Wagner from New Line at the Met 360 studio. Thank you very much. Stay tuned in. We have more to come.
Johns from Shore. Hey there, thanks for having us. This is Michael Johns, Product Manager for Shure Incorporated here at 2017 NAB in Las Vegas in booth 2218 in the Center Hall, showing you our new product, Axient Digital.
Cool. So let's just see what you got right here.
Great. So Axient Digital represents a new high-tier platform of Shure's wireless microphone line. We're taking two great products, UHFR and Axient, and replacing them with a new digital solution. What we've learned over the years of doing digital products is that there are a lot of benefits, specifically to spectral efficiency. So we're designing this product with a new high-performing digital radio. It works really good in the presence of multipath and other interference. It provides us the ability to get many channels on air. In a 6 megahertz space, we can get 17 channels on air. We have a feature called HD mode that allows you to get up to 46 channels on air in one 6 megahertz TV band.
Cool. So, you guys cater to the consumer market as well as the professional audio market.
Yeah, we do. Absolutely.
Cool. Let's walk around a little bit. I know there's other folks doing some presentations and stuff.
Certainly.
But like if we look back here, we're going to go back here and just move around just a little bit. So this stuff right here, let's talk about that. That's the Axient, right?
Yeah, so that's the Axient wireless system. It actually comes in two different styles. It comes in AD series transmitters and ADX series transmitters. They both have extremely wide tuning bandwidth, great sound quality, and you're looking at the receivers right there.
Excellent. All right, now we're going to go this way and just do one more thing here. And this is where my favorite stuff is, right? So we've got the booms and everything. Let's talk about that real quick.
Awesome. So here's our mobile journalism section, and my buddy Thomas Banks, actually one of the people who developed these products. What we're showing here is our line of shotgun microphones. Great. Here we have a variety of shotgun microphones on varying lengths that provide different areas of coverage. The smallest one here is designed to actually go right on a video camera, and some of them are designed to go on boom arms.
Oh, excellent. All right, cool. So from the Shure booth right here in Central Hall, live, back to the studio. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
Greetings, welcome. You are watching NAB Show live from the beautiful Central Hall, Grand Lobby of Central Hall. Thank you very much, Ryan, for the throw. We are going to talk about VR post-production workflow and stitching. And for those people who are in VR, the post-production presents a lot of challenges. In some cases, with stereoscopic, it can be as much as a third of your budget. So while on the NAB show floor, we're talking a lot about post-production, there are a lot of tools. It is one of the greater challenges in VR. It takes a lot to get it right. Fortunately for us today, we have experts. We've got Tim Dillon, let me get the titles right, who is the head of VR and immersive content at MPC, and Ryan Cummins, the VR VFX supervisor at Legend. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you.
Hey, how you doing?
Great. So, I've had the pleasure, I've worked with you.
Yeah.
About to work with you. So by the way, I'm a chief storyteller at Storytech Immersive and a VR producer. So these guys saved my life, and I probably wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for you on some level. So
that's true. I agree.
So you capture the image, and hopefully your directors and your director of photography are doing really well at image capture. Hopefully they know their cameras well enough. We've had a couple panels where we've actually talked about camera selection, how important that is, how important low light cameras are when you need them, because in VR you can't, I'm just giving a lot of background here, in VR you can't actually work with light the way you can in traditional film and television. And so once the image is captured, and hopefully it is captured in an orderly manner, let's talk a little bit about that. What happens before the image and the workflow, before it gets to post-production? So, Tim, what do you expect to receive from your directors and your DPs?
Well, it's not going to be a surprise to anyone that you need to pre-plan and spend as much time in pre-pro as possible, specifically with blocking, where the camera is and what you're getting, because we're in stereo most of the time, right? I mean, not all VR creators want to be in stereo, but most of them are trying to get that immersive feeling.
And we've talked about how creating in stereoscopic gives you an asset that helps build a library and future-proof your content. So we hope that everybody shoots up there.
It does, but stereo is harder to work with. It's harder to work with and harder to adjust. And actually, there's various tendencies to the way stereo works. But ideally, when you're coming off the camera, you've got great rough stitch material for reference to get into edits, to get into planning, and then you go into some more nuanced tests on single frames of quality and resolution. But it's, once you've shot someone, if someone's put their arm through the lenses or they've done something that wasn't quite right for the blocking, it's a reshoot.
So that cannot, quote unquote, be fixed in post.
That's probably one of the only things that can't be. I mean, if something's crossing a stitch, then potentially you can paint that stitch.
So for for the audience and for those people who don't know VR really well, we're dealing with a number of cameras that cover the 360 range or sometimes 180 stereoscopic range. And what about, Ryan, the actors and people getting close to the camera? Because Tim's talking about if you've got an arm that's crossing the lens, what does that create as a challenge? If you can't go reshoot it, what does that create as a challenge in post?
Well, just crossing through just the scene, like Tim had mentioned, the idea of all those different cameras being in different positions, everything's going to be from a different perspective and a different angle, and the closer they get, the larger that distortion is between the two. So you start trying to essentially make stuff up that somehow blends one side to the other and looks as seamless as possible, and then once you get to the point where somebody's crossed or something is crossed too close to where there's not overlap of the cameras at all, and a portion of somebody's face or a portion of somebody's arm completely disappears, then you have those two options of, is there enough information and is it quick enough that somehow we literally build a little patch and completely fake it through there? Or is it so large of a missing information in a hole that you literally have to go reshoot it?
Is your experience that, so every camera is different, every camera serves a different purpose, every camera has its own issues.
Yeah.
And every camera is changing, updating software, updating technology that actually solves some old issues, but in many cases brings up new issues.
Sure, yeah.
So how do you feel that the directors, generally speaking in VR, because in my opinion, we're really moving into artistry now. So the opportunity to familiarize yourself with the camera, or better yet, before it gets to you, the collaboration between you guys, the camera folks, and the storyteller. So there's this informed collaboration so that there's knowledge to save everybody a lot of time and money. Is that happening?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from an MPC perspective, moving picture company perspective, we sometimes are the director, we sometimes are the creator, which gives us a real deep insight into what's going on with that particular project. And every project's different, but actually when we are working and collaborating with other directors, sometimes they're new to VR and it's the first time they've made a piece, and therefore we're working together and imparting all that knowledge. Sometimes it's someone who's worked on 10 pieces and they're trying to then push the envelope on what they did previously. So every project is very different, but from a production standpoint, yeah, obviously the more pieces you've made, the more you're learning from that, the more you're able to try and block your actors or work with your effects or CG in a particular way that you're aiming for. But actually from a shot-to-shot level, that's what we're talking about really. It's not, okay, we're making a 6-minute VR piece and it's all a one take. 2 years ago, people said, okay, I'm going to make a VR piece. It's largely, okay, I'm in a car or I'm on somewhere, I'm in a place, and it's a one shot. And then quickly now we've evolved back into classic filmmaking in a good way, where people are thinking, okay, well, this is a shot I want to get, and then I want to create 7 shots in my 6-minute piece. So the camera blocking and the considerations are different shot by shot.
And it is getting more complicated. So, I mean, for My Brother's Keeper, we're shooting outside. We have leaves. And shooting in stereoscopic, we have leaves. And Celine Tricart was here yesterday, and they had many of the same issues. We were using the same cameras. So, and we had water flowing, and you have these things, and you still have the challenges. Like, can you explain Uncanny Valley? Uncanny Valley. Uncanny Valley. So I thought maybe because you get it in post, it's like this feeling that you are actually like floating. You're not on the ground.
Well, it's scale, right? I mean, IPDs is a really interesting thing in VR.
Which is interpupillary distance, right?
Interpupillary distance. So, yeah, there's a reason why all these VR rigs are using small cameras. It's because they're trying to match our interpupillary distance so that we feel human scale. We don't feel ant scale or hammerhead shark scale. And that's really key. If you get that a little bit off, and all of our IPDs are slightly different, so there's a little variation anyway. But actually, if it's roughly in the ballpark, you'll feel like a human. But it's also where you put the camera. Is it human height? Are we at 5'6", 5'8", or are we down here at toddler height? Those things really matter.
Right, and also the distance and the perspective, because if you want to be intimidated if you want your viewer to be intimidated and the person you want to intimidate is small and out there, that doesn't serve. So.
Oh, exactly. It all about where you're going to. You want the big, towering giant. but you still want to feel like an adult. You don't want to feel like a child. So you go from like a 5'10" to maybe like a 5'6", 5'4", where you still feel about adult height. And when someone walks up on you, all of a sudden they're kind of towering over you. And then you can also play with the stereo a bit, to where, you know, whether it's shot natively or you're doing post stereo conversion on it, kind of playing with those distances and the volumes and making somebody that's so close to you and at a normal stereo, and then you kind of pump it up and bring them a little bit closer. You can kind of cheat that almost impending feeling where they're actually a lot closer and more in your face. So there's lots of different little tricks you guys can do.
But you also, I was actually surprised, you know, producer only knows so much. You try and learn as much as you can. Also very much surprised that in post you can actually, in some cases, adjust the camera height. That was something that we learned, and it was like, okay, we're going to bump up the camera height. That was from Technicolor. They said we're going to move that camera height. So
there's some room in there. I mean, you're playing with what was shot versus where you end up in VR. There's definitely some give, but it's not like you can go from the floor to a full human. You know, you can come.
Yes. No, slight adjustment.
I mean, we'll get there. We'll get to a place with some of the light field cameras and some of the other camera advancements where you will have that flexibility. You will be able to move the position of where your camera lenses were, or your whole set of lenses were within the scene, and then make those decisions, which directors will love, because no one likes getting stuck with exactly what they did on set. You know, which has been true of all filmmaking, but there is some flexibility. We don't have that in VR yet, but I think next year or the year after,
but
we'll be able to change it.
We don't have sound departments in VR yet either on set, so we talked about that yesterday. Okay, let's go back for a little bit. I've now got everything in camera. I've done as much in camera as I could. I'm now turning the image over to you. What happens? What's the workflow?
Kind of depends on, you know, if it's coming straight to us and an edit hasn't been done yet. But we'll go ahead and say it has. So we'll get, you know, the rough stitches, whether it was dailies on set or we've quickly done them in house and we've got the edit locked off. We'll go through and kind of, you know, make sure everything's been ingested and sorted properly, because it's not like, you know, you just have one main plate per shot. You've got, you know, anywhere between 3 to 14 cameras. So you got to make sure everything's all correct. The bulk of this camera rigs out there right now aren't necessarily gen locked and time synced, so a lot of times we'll have to go back through and make sure they're all properly aligned. So there's a lot more front end plate preparation before you even remotely want to talk about stitching, especially if you get into stereo, because a lot of them aren't, you know, in camera built. A lot of them are cameras that have been assembled and snapped together, and so
we're constantly hacking and building
exactly
rigs.
So there's all kind of color and vertical alignment, and depending on if it's a low light situation, possibly denoising, trying to prep them as much as possible, so that way once you get into the actual post workflow, you're not trying to backtrack wishing you had done something early on, and as much plate preparation as you can do, because in the end right now, you know, based on the playback capabilities, that everything's going to get compressed down and going to have compression issues, and you're going to lose a lot of that image quality. So the more you can do up front to provide a cleaner image in the end, you know that even when it gets dumbed down to its final transcoded state, it's at least going to be as best as it can be.
So in terms of, now it comes to you, once the stitching is done, then you get in, you've got your picture lock, you've got your conform, now you're going to do the plating out of rigs, all of the special effects that have to happen so that when people look around, it's a natural environment. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because it used to be, first of all, it wasn't automated. It used to be you had to babysit it. Now there's a certain amount that's automated. But it also depends on if you have a still image or a moving image. We have camera movement now that we didn't have before. It was easy when, you know, the first people that would say the rule is you can't move the camera, you know? And it was like, that was not going to be how I was going to play. So
I still think that's true.
That you can't move the camera? Mm-hmm. It's interesting. You don't believe that. You can't believe that. So otherwise you guys wouldn't be in business. So the idea of what you've got to deal with, you know, how much of that is automated? How much of that has to be babysat when you're plating out and you're perfecting the image?
It really we have to approach it kind of like a shot-by-shot basis. You know, we'll get, when we get the first edit, we get it locked, we'll go through and watch the whole cut and assess, you know, how many are lock-offs and then out of those lock-offs, how many of them have lighting or shadow changes that might need to be recreated, and how much of them are just a quick paint out. Then we go through and assess all the moving camera shots, and we're like, okay, same thing. Is there lighting changes? Is it all environments that have to be recreated and replaced? Is there anybody that has to be an individual or a person that needs to be fitted in there? And it's funny that, you know, the idea of moving the camera in certain instances, depending on the camera move, it actually makes removing the rig easier, because you're constantly moving the camera and feeding us new information that's being revealed as the camera moves across. So depending on the camera move, it actually makes it a bit easier sometimes.
So can you grab some of the data that's on?
Exactly. Over the course of the shot, you know, if the camera starts over the far left side and by the end is moved all the way to the right, we're getting revealing information to replace and fill that back in with the camera all along the way. That's only with certain shots. So we kind of have to go through and assess which ones are going to be the easy, the difficult, you know, and then if we've gone back and we've done enough pre-production planning at the front end, we'll know which camera moves and which blockings are going to be more difficult. So we'll plan out with the crew, whether it's ourselves being on-set supervisors, or we're just asking the client to provide additional reference plates, witness cams, as much information that we would need. So
Yeah,
that
we
way,
actually had a 3D still camera on set.
Exactly.
That we actually used to plate out the bottom of the dolly track.
Yeah.
So we came to you, or Technicolor Experience Center, because you're owned by Technicolor, came to you.
Sure.
We had specific issues that had to be solved. It's been my experience as a producer that no VR piece is perfect.
Right.
So when you're, Tim, working with the filmmakers, how do you prioritize? Because there's only so much time and there's only so much money.
Yeah.
How do you prioritize what's to be fixed and what's not to be fixed?
I mean, it's kind of an iterative process, right? You're working through a VR piece, and it's clear to everyone that the stitch needs to be good, right? Overall, it needs to feel. You got to get rid of as many of the big distractions. So in a way, you're prioritizing it to what's the thing that's distracting me the most, which large stitch lines will be, because you're looking around and they're huge. And then you go to the next level. It's okay, well, am I getting any artifacts in the frame because I pushed these images around, and therefore they started to create weird bubbling artifacts.
Yeah, you went this way and that way went that,
strange
yeah.
areas. So artifacts are the next thing that we're getting rid of, and we're starting to paint those out. And then there's stereo aberration and color. And so ideally, when you've got through those steps, you've got rid of all your artifacts, and there's nothing distracting, because when you put that headset on, even the smallest thing can catch your eye. But as you say,
it's
not
interesting
everything
because
is perfect.
the working with Marcy Jastro, very committed to the perfection of the image.
Sure.
And she said to me, you know, we have to be sure, we're going to be sure that everything that affects story is taken care of first.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll go take care of the rest. So anything that would distract somebody from the story. So I want to talk about heat maps for a minute, and the use of heat maps.
Sure.
And how that's starting to come in. We were approached by a Samsung startup company that actually asked us for feedback. This is what's great about being in the industry. Everybody's talking to everybody right now to try and work these issues out. This heat mapping, since we were already in the Samsung Gear VR, they already had the piece, they were able to do the heat mapping. Connor Hare and Alex Meter, we were rejoicing because people were actually looking where we wanted them to look. Then we said to them, look, could you do this where you could set this up, a focus group for us, and get us the rough cut with all that information? Do you think this will now become part of the workflow in the future, and how soon?
I mean, it's not just 360 pieces either. I mean, I just got back from Tribeca, where we launched a piece called The Last Goodbye, and it's a mix of 360 films and room scale. So you start in 360, and then you go into Vive, and you're able to walk around the room, and that's a photogrammetry environment with a video element of someone talking to you, and it's a Holocaust survivor, so it's kind of a documentary piece. It's a longer piece, and to get that right, we actually had people going through, probably 10 or 15 people a day on constant sessions, constantly play testing, but it's not playing, obviously they're running through the sequence. So it's the human equivalent of heat maps, and we weren't taking heat map data, but we could have been internally. But we were actually questionnairing people and saying, okay, did you feel that camera move? What did you think about this? The questions weren't too leading, and you'd get good information, and you could actually look to that and say, okay, are these 50 people feeling this camera move is too nauseous, getting too much nausea? Because if it is, then it is distracting from the story. We were slowing things down and changing pacing because of it.
Yeah, I think it's usable as well on, the storytelling aspect, what's working, what's not, and then also because a lot of the post-production time, it's very much commercial-like, super short turnarounds. A lot of times we get put in those crunch situations, and to align
sorry
yourself,
about that.
and to align yourself with internally what you're doing and what you're critiquing and what the director's thinking and what the final client's thinking, even using something like heat mapping or even recording the sessions of where they're looking really helps pinpoint the pain spots, because right off the bat there's so much to look at, even trying to just take care of the storytelling perspective, that you might be looking at things and trying to fix things that the director doesn't care about. So it's similar to when you start a project for traditional VFX, where you got to get on the same page of what's important and what their eyes kind of drawn to in certain things. And so using the heat mapping, after a couple initial reviews with a client, you immediately know the pain spots. They always look at this one type of thing, so to make sure that one particular type of thing is affixed across all shots, and all of a sudden you're getting more shots through the door faster, you're easing up on the back end of the project, and it's not getting as much crunch time as the end, because you know exactly what to hit. We've noticed one big thing that, there's different types of artifacts, like Tim mentioned. There's stereo ones, there's warping, distortion, and we've found that a lot more people are more willing to forgive, say, like doubling or things slightly getting cut off, as long as it's consistent, versus the warping, bubbling effect.
As well as, if the story is good, once they're involved in the story, the audience, the traditional audience, is not as critical as we are.
Oh, they lose it.
Every VR person, we just want to get in there and oh, look at that.
I think that's true, but it was true last year and the year before. I'm interested to see. I'm wide open, see what people think. But I think as this industry gets bigger and bigger, people are going to want to see very clean results.
Oh my gosh.
They're going to want to see what they see in the cinema.
And unless we do that, the industry will stall.
Right.
And one of the issues right now, I just came back from a VR leadership forum in Europe, and the number one issue was bad VR. That people were concerned, these leaders in the industry were concerned that people would experience bad VR and then it would be a long time before they came back again.
Which is where I think, coming back to stereo and mono, most mono pieces will not hurt people's eyes. When people say bad VR, I think 9 times out of 10, they're talking about camera moves that make people sick, and they're talking about bad stereo that hurts your eyes, so that you put the headset on and you're like, oh Jesus, this is horrible. It's literally painful to your eyes.
I'm also going to talk about bad acting.
Yeah, I mean,
bad storytelling, because you can go to a movie and hate it and kill it at the box office. So it is this combination. It is this collaboration.
Yeah.
So once it goes out, we have like a minute left. All of these formats that it has, you've got HTC Vive, you've got Oculus, you've got Samsung, and if you're lucky as a creator, you go to Little Star and they do everything for you. But you guys have to output to these multi-formats. Is transcoding coming, where it's not as labor intensive, where you have to do this file, this file, this file, and this file?
I think they're working on it. A lot of internal studios have developed their own pipeline workflows and automations, to where even if it is a multitude of different options, all the presets are done. But I'm kind of looking forward to the idea of the standards and kind of the OpenXR, what the Kronos initiative had done, where they're trying to kind of have an abstraction layer to where no matter what you feed into it, it'll be able to run across all the devices. It's almost taking a page out of the VFX handbook of trying to say, we're going to make something do this, and it's going to work across all the softwares. So the idea of transcoding it once and using it, running it through this standard abstraction layer, and then all of a sudden it works on all devices.
Well, and you know what? I'm looking forward to that, because that will also bring costs down, thank you very much, and budgets down. I want to thank you guys. I didn't even get to talk about in-headset editing, and looking forward to that. But Ryan and Tim, thank you so much. And I just want to personally thank both companies for your contribution to the industry, because you're really helping to raise the bar.
You're welcome.
So thanks for being here today. You are watching NAB Show Live, and we're going to go to Ryan Salazar before we come back to the next segment to talk about compute power. Over to you, Ryan.
Hi, this is Ryan Salazar from NAB Show Live, and we have 2 very special guests here today from Amazon Prime Video's The Man in the High Castle. How you guys doing?
Doing great. Glad to be here.
All right, so we have Joel De La Fuente.
Hello.
And then we have Daniel Percival. How you guys doing?
Good.
All right, so tell us why you guys are here. Well, you just won some awards. Let's talk about that. Daniel.
Well, we won 2 Emmys last year for Man in the High Castle. One for an extraordinary title sequence. I don't know if you've seen the show, but it's quite breathtaking. And the other for cinematography. It was one of the most prestigious awards we could have won for our cinematographer, Jim Hawkinson.
Excellent. So let's talk about your role on the show and how you got into the show itself.
Well, I play a character named Chief Inspector Kido. He's the head of the Japanese secret police. Not a very nice man. For those who don't like him or those that he doesn't like. And just been involved with it since the beginning. It's really exciting to be a part of the project and to help tell this really interesting story of a time that's supposed to have happened a long time ago but has a lot of resonance for what's going on today.
All right, so Daniel, how long have you been in the business, and what kind of other shows have you done? Let's talk about that a little bit, the history.
Oh my God. I've been in the business since I was a teenager. I started as a runner making films, and I've been directing since the age of 27. I've done documentaries and dramas, but this is really where I feel most at home, because we're dealing with extraordinary historical subjects, we're dealing with science fiction, we're dealing with the work of one of the most amazing American writers, Philip K. Dick, and creating a drama in the likes you've never seen before.
All right, so let's talk about some other shows that you've done and projects you've worked on.
Well, most recently I was on a Netflix show called Hemlock Grove, where I played this guy named Dr. Price, and I was on Law & Order Special Victims Unit for 10 years. But really, it's been the last few years the growth of all this Prime TV and streaming platforms, things like Hemlock Grove and Man in the High Castle, where I feel like the opportunities have gotten a lot more interesting. Storytelling has gotten more challenging.
So, to be at a show with probably about 100,000 people in the industry has got to feel really good. Obviously, these are the folks that work behind the scenes with you guys. It's got to be really cool to be with your peers in here, right?
It's really nice to be working on a show that's recognized by your peers, and that people recognize the inherent quality in the material you're doing. And I don't think it's ever been this exciting to be in television. I mean, the formats, the kind of shows that are out there, the quality of the work that's out there, it's never been so competitive as it is now, and so exciting creatively.
Well, so you think about the evolution of television and the technology, and now .coms are becoming part of the television space, and do you call that television? Do you call that digital? It's kind of like a fine line there nowadays. Isn't that amazing how technology's evolved over the years?
It feels like the Wild West in a way, and who knows, like in 25 years, what people will think of this time, but it certainly is. A lot of the forms that come to be will be established during this period of time, I think, with the technology and how quickly people can make things and how much money is in the space right now and the talent that's coming here. I think we're going to see the beginnings of a new way of telling stories.
And Daniel, of course, this is a technology show, right? And there's also best practices that are spoken about, and folks like you guys come in and get awards and talk about, thought leader discussions, basically. So to see the technologies and how those technologies evolve, especially like editing, color grading, things like that, and I'm sure that affects how you work in your work environment.
Well, it's never been easier to be ambitious with television. I mean, television is now moving into a medium, particularly with the screens that people view on now, where we are visually as ambitious as cinema. People expect to be able to watch on their huge TVs great visual imagery, and television's rising to that game now, and to hear it, and the qualities of sound design and the qualities of visual design that we can bring to a show are raising the bar for everybody. And I think we're seeing that in a lot of shows out there at the moment.
So what's next for you? Do you have anything